There's a Rashi in the beginning of Lech Lecha. Ve'escho legoy godoil, Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Avraham, Lech Lecha mi'atzecho mi'latecho mi'beisovicho el oretz asher areko, ve'escho legoy godoil. Then I'll make you a great nation. Va'avorechecho, and then I will bless you. Va'gadlo shemecho, I'll make your name great. Ve'yeh brocha, and there shall be a brocha. Rashi says, one explanation, and then va'avorech dover acher, another explanation, ve'escho legoy godoil, ze she'omrim elekei Avraham. I shall make you a great nation, that refers to what we say in the Shemoneh Esrei. In the beginning of the Shemoneh Esrei, we say, Elokeinu ve'elokei Avoseinu, Elokei Avraham. Va'avorechecho, and I shall bless you, ze she'omrim Elokei Yitzchak. That refers to what we say, Elokei Yitzchak. Va'agadlo shemecho, and I shall make your name great, ze she'omrim Elokei Yaakov. That's what we say, Elokei Yaakov. Yochel yuchoismin b'chulam. I would have thought that when we end the brocha, we say, Baruch Ato Hashem, Mogein Avraham, we should say, Mogein Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Yuchoismin b'chulam, that we should end the brocha by mentioning all the three of us. Talmud lo yimar, no. V'heye brocha, that's what the pasuk here ends, V'heye brocha, and there shall be a brocha. That means only one is mentioned, only you. B'choch chosmin, only with you we end the brocha, v'loi bohem, and not with all the others, not with Yitzchak and Yaakov. This is a Gemara. That's what Rashi quotes here, is a Gemara. Maseches Psochim. So we have to understand what lies behind that. That why take the pasuk says when we end the brocha we only mention Avraham Avinu. Baruch Ato Hashem Mogein Avraham. Because the Torah says Ve'yeh brocha, there shall be a brocha, and therefore from here we learn that we have to mention only Avraham Avinu. But all right, but what is the lesson from here? What can we understand from that? Why don't we end the brocha Baruch Ato Hashem Mogein Avraham Yitzchak and Yaakov? It's only fair. We mentioned the Shloishes Ovos. Yeah, it's called the Birkas Ovos. It's called the brocha of the Shemoneh Esrei is called Birkas Ovos, the brocha of the Ovos. So we should end like we start with Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. So we should end up by mentioning all the three of them. Why just Avraham? And that's what the Torah says here, V'heye brocha, to teach us only with Avraham. We finish the brocha only with Avraham. What is the explanation? What lies behind that? What can we learn from it? So maybe we can explain in two different ways. One way we can say is, since Avraham Avinu was the first one, he was the first of the Shloishes Ovos. So we want to point out, although we needed three Ovos to build the Klal Yisrael, Avraham on his own could not give birth to the Klal Yisrael. He had to have a Yitzchak, and then Yitzchak on his own could not have a Klal Yisrael. He had to have a Yaakov. As we know, it was a question of perfection. Each one added another perfection until we came to Yaakov Avinu with Emes, with Shleimus, with total perfection. And from Yaakov Avinu, only from Yaakov Avinu, after Avraham and Yitzchak, could the Klal Yisrael be born. Nevertheless, we want to end the bracha with Mogen Avraham because we want to point out that all this perfection is on the cheshbon of Avraham Avinu. After all, since Avraham Avinu is the first founder, is the first one to put the stone of the building, to make the foundations, therefore we want to bless the Rabbeinu Shel Olam, v'heye bracha b'chol chosmin, that we mention you and you only, because we always go after the goyrem. We always go after the first cause. I remember when at the Levaya of Rabbi David Drian, Zech Tzadik Livroche, the Sheikhet of Gateshead, who was the first one to have written to the Chofetz Chaim to send a Rosh Yeshiva in Gateshead to make the yeshiva. I was at the Levaya. He was niftar on the Shabbos, I remember. And I was at the Levaya, and Rav Dessler was maspid him. Rav Dessler, Zecher Tzadik Livroche, was maspid him. And I remember exactly what Rav Dessler said. He said in the Koilel, in the garden of the Koilel, he said, in Oilom HaEmes, in the world of truth, in Oilom Habo, we give the reward, the credit to the Goyrem, to the one that is the cause of all what there is. And he went on to count all the moisdes of Gateshead, the yeshiva, the koilel, the sem, the boarding school. And he said, and all that is to the credit of Rabbi David Drian. Zecher Tzadik Livroche. And as he said that, he was crying and crying. That's all what he said. That was all the hesped of Rav Dessler. And I still remember, he could not stop crying the whole time. So what we are saying now, that comes exactly to the same idea. Avraham Avinu was the goyrem. He was the one, the first cause. He was the one after Asor Doiros, after Doiros of Doiros of Doiros of Rishoyim. He was the first one to start a new derech, to make the wheel go back on the right direction, to turn the wheel back, to make the whole world recognize the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. Without Avraham, there wouldn't have been any Yitzchak, and neither any Yankov. There wouldn't have been any Klal Yisrael. He was the first one. Because he was the first one, that's why we have to finish the broche, Baruch Atah Hashem Mogen Avraham. To point out that the first one, that's the main one that gets the credit. And why Mogen? Why don't we say as we started, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchok, Elokei Yaakov? Why don't we say, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokei Avraham? Let's end the bracha with the same expression, with the same lashon, which we started the bracha with. Elokei, why Mogen? This expression of Mogen Avraham is said in Lech Lecha after the milchome, the battle which Avraham Avinu had fought against the kings, when the kings who had battled against Doim and had taken Lot as a prisoner. And it says that Avraham Avinu was afraid that he might have killed some tzaddikim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, Onoichi mogen loch, al tiru Avraham. He was afraid, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, do not fear, I am a mogen, I am a shield to you. Onoichi mogen loch, I am a shield to you. Now, why does just Avraham Avinu needs a shield? What does it mean, a shield? A shield means an extra protection. He needed a protection. So there is a medrash Rabbo in the beginning of Lech Lecha. There is a pasuk in Shir HaShirim, Ochos lonu ketano v'shodayim ein lo. Ochos lonu ketano, we have a small sister, Zei Avraham, that refers to Avraham. Sheicho is called Boy Oilom. Why is he called the small sister of Avraham Avinu? The Medrash Rabbo says, because Sheicho is called Oilom. Icho means, in Lashon HaKodesh, to sew up when there is a tear in a cloth and you are sewing up the kera, the tear, that is called me'ache es hakera. Achos is from the shoirish, has got a connection with the shoirish icho. She'icho es oilam, that means he sew up the tear that was in the world before he came into the world. The world was torn away from the Rabbeinu Shel Olam. Avraham Avinu was an oches. He was me'ache es kol oilam. He was sewing. He sew up the tear which the world was torn up from the Rabbeinu Shel Olam. Ketano. Why is it a small sister? She'atshu koton oyo mesagel mitzvos u'maisim toivim. When he was small, Avraham Avinu already was doing mitzvos u'maisim toivim. V'shodayim ein lo. And she doesn't have shodayim. Lo hinikuo lo mitzvos v'lo maisim toivim. That means, although Avraham Avinu did not suck, he did not have someone to feed him, like a baby who is being fed by the mother, and yet he was doing mitzvahs u'maisim tovim on his own. And then the pasuk in Shir HaShirim says, "Ma na'aseh la'achoseinu b'yom sheyidu barbo." What shall we do to our sister in the day when it will be spoken about her? What does it refer to? That refers to b'yom shegozar olav Nimrod lered l'soich kibshon ha'esh. The day that Nimrod gave the decree to throw him into the burning furnace. Im choimoi, if he is strong as a wall of stone, nivne oleo, we can build on that wall. Im ami devorim kachoimo nivne oleo. The im delesi, but if he is like a door made of wood, that means deles is meloshen dal. If he is poor in mitzvahs u'maisim tovim, not suroleo luach orez, then we can only make tzuras orez, luach orez. That means like a picture made of wood. A picture made of wood doesn't stand for long. So Avraham Avinu answered, Ribono Elomim, ani choimo, mamid ani dvorim kachoimo. I will be as strong as a wall. V'shodai kamigdolois, Zechananyo, Mishoel v'Azaryo, and my children also will be as strong as me. Right. So we see from this medrash when Avraham Avinu was thrown in the furnace, in the burning furnace, that was the deciding point. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says in Shir HaShirim, what will we do with our small sister, that refers to Avraham Avinu, in the day that it will be spoken about her? If he's going to be as strong as a wall, then we can build. If not, we can't build. It's not going to have any future from Avraham Avinu. That refers to that nisoyon of Kivshon Noesh. Now, Kivshon Noesh, the nisoyon of Kivshon Noesh is not counted as one of the 10 nisyonos of Avraham Avinu, because it's not written mefurish in the pasuk, only beremes. Meur Kasdim, vayetzu itom Meur Kasdim. They came out of Ur Kasdim. From the word Ur Kasdim, there is the word Ur, which means the fire. Therefore, from here we learn there was an nisoyon to Avraham Avinu that he came out of the fire. But it's not counted as the 10 nisyonos. Why? Why didn't the Torah say openly that was a nisoyon? Why is it not a nisoyon? The explanation is, because although Kivshon Noesh was a nisoyon, but that was the deciding nisoyon before all the other nisyonos. Before the 10 nisyonos. That was a nisoyon that was the starting point on the side of Avraham Avinu. From that nisoyon of Kivshon Noesh, it was going to be decided, is HaKadosh Baruch Hu going to tell Avraham Avinu to go away from this land and to make a new start in life? That was a preparatory nisoyon. Like there is a test to know whether you can have a test. Avraham Avinu, when he was in Ur Kasdim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu did not reveal himself to him yet. He had to find his own way, on his own. For 10 years he was taken by Nimrod and put into prison because of his deis, because of his opinions on recognizing the Rabbeinu Shalom, that there is Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. And yet for 10 years HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't speak to him, didn't make him any nisim. There's a medrash that says he didn't have any nisim yet, for all that time. And yet he was so strong in recognizing the Rabbeinu Shalom on his own, with his own seichel, without any nevuah, without any yeniko, that v'shodayim ein lo. He didn't have lo yeniku lo mitzvahs lo ma'asim tovim. He was groping in the dark. And yet he was mesagel mitzvahs lo ma'asim tovim on his own, the Midrash says. And to top it all, he had to, on his own, he preferred to be thrown alive into the fire because of what his seichel told him to do. There was no nevuah here. There was no nisim. There was no help from the Rabbeinu Shalom at all. Therefore, it is not counted. It is not counted as a nisoyon. That is not counted as a nisoyon. The nisoyon, the 10 nisyonos start after Lech Lecha, after HaKadosh Baruch Hu, after he had passed the preliminary nisoyon, the foretest. It's like when you want to go to a driving test. So first they see if you have got good eyes, because if someone doesn't have good eyes, fertig, you can't even pass the test. So same with Avraham Avinu. That was the preliminary. Before he could go into his own building with the Asor Nisyonos, that was the building, that was the beginning of the foundation of Avraham Avinu. But before Lech Lecha, maybe that's why Avraham Avinu needed a special mogen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to protect him from Nimrod, from all the persecutions during those 10 years when Avraham Avinu was not yet connected with the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. He had to find his own way with his own seichel, and Baruch Hashem he was successful. And that's why we finished the broche Mogein Avraham, to show that beginning of Avraham Avinu, before Lech Lecha, the start. Now we have started already after Yom Kippur and after Simchas Torah, a new year. Now I always notice, and I always say, every year, after Yom Noroim, we are like beginners again. And if we are not aware, if we are not told, if we do not point it out, sometimes it can be bad for a person if he doesn't know where he is. It's like a new creation. Just imagine that we have just been reborn and we forgot whom we are, what we did before. There are people, we want to connect ourselves to what we were before Rosh Hashanah, to go on the same track, and we cannot. Impossible. And because of that, we are a bit lost. We are a bit disorientated. What happened to us? That's what Yomim Norim give us. That we don't know where we are. And maybe this year it's even more so, because of course every new year there is more Bria Chadosha, because that's what the purpose of the Yomim Norim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur is. Really, we don't understand it enough. We don't grasp it enough. That the purpose of Tshuva, of Mechilas Avonos, is to be a different person, to be reborn, to be a new person. You are not with the same feelings as before of last year. You don't have the same ergeshim, you don't have the same days, you are completely disconnected. And therefore, that's why we feel like that. So there comes an Avraham Avinu in the beginning of the year. Every year we start again the story of Avraham Avinu. Be a beginner. Start again. That's how you can achieve something. What you have done previously, I don't say don't forget it, because whatever good you have done, that is the building, that's the foundation. The same as we have to say that although Avraham Avinu was the beginner, but he also was built on foundations of shame. He didn't come out Yesh Me'ayin Avraham Avinu from nowhere. But in the same time, he was a beginner. He was a starter and he was a founder. And when you read that those parshas of Avraham Avinu, when we read about the Kivshan Oesh, when we read about Lech Lecha, when we read about all the Asur Nisyonos, then we have to learn. We have to take an example. That we also in the beginning of the new year, we have to start on a new track. There's no way indicated. The Rebbeinu Shel Olam doesn't speak to us. He doesn't tell us which way to go. Elokim asher isu oisi. It says later about Avraham Avinu. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Avraham Avinu, Lech Lecha, he didn't tell him which way to go. Go north, go south. El Oretz asher areko. He had to grope his way, even in Lech Lecha, even afterwards. Even after HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to him. He had to judge on his own seichel, his own das, his own intelligence. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I have given you seichel, that's for that. You use your seichel and know what to do in every circumstance, every situation that arises to you. I'm not going to tell you which way to go. And so we are also in that new year, after the Yomim Noroim, after Mechilas Avonos, After Simchas Torah, we are here every day. We have to use our seichel, we have to use our knowledge, our chokhmah. And that's what we are in this life for. Otherwise, if everything would be told us what to do, there would be no point. We have to search, and we have to find. And if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives to us the choice, that means we can do it. And therefore, that's one explanation in Mogen Avraham. That's why he needed a Mogen. And that's why we quote him, only him. Mogen Avraham, B'chor Hashmin, V'lo B'chulam. Not with the others, with you. There is also a Medrash Tanchume on that point. אחר הדבורים האלה, הויו דבר השם אל אברום במחזה לאמור, אל תירו אברום. Avrom, the Medrash says, Atomoitze Avrom oyo meharech midas adin. Uma oyo oimer. Avrom was thinking about midas adin, and he was saying, Omar Rabbi Levi, Omar kimdume ani shekibalti kol schori boilom hazeh. I think I've received all my reward in this world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has helped me to fight those kings, those very powerful kings. And he saved me from Kifshon, from the burning furnace. I received my reward of Olam Habo in this world. And I won't have any reward in Olam Habo. That's why he was afraid. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him, since you have thought about that, you need to bring an oilo. You need to bring a korban. Which korban? You have to bring your son as a korban. V'ayoymer kachnu es bincho es yechidcho asher ohavto es Yitzchak. Midrash Tanchume in Parshas Lech Lecha. Because Avraham Avinu was afraid he might have received his reward of Olam Habo in Olam Hazeh, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him, you need an oilo, you need a korban. What does it? It doesn't make any sense, this. If HaKadosh would have said, do not worry, like it says in the Midrash Rabbah, there is the same Midrash. Midrash Rabbah doesn't say at all the same thing. The Midrash says, do not worry, Avram. What you have got now is chesed, it's pure chesed. I'm giving you charity. But your Schar in Olam Habo is untouched. That I understand. But this Midrash Tanchume, because you are Maharer Hamidas Adin, because you thought that you received your reward in Olam Hazeh, the reward of Olam Habo in Olam Hazeh, therefore you must bring a korban. It doesn't make any sense. So, what is that as an answer to the fear of Avraham Avinu? Maybe the pshat is like this. The Taki HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed with Avraham Avinu. If you feel that you might receive your schar of Olam Habo in Olam Hazeh, that means you are not strong enough yet. You are not convinced on your Leshem Shomayim that all what you have got in this world, you only use it for the Rabbeinu Shalom. If so, maybe Take, you are eating up your next world in this world. If you enjoy this world for the sake of this world, then maybe Take you are receiving your schar in Olam Hazeh. So if you think, you're afraid, you might eat your Olam Habo in Olam Hazeh, so then Take, maybe you are right. And to prove that you are not like that, bring an oilo, bring your son as a korban. And by that you will show that you are completely dedicated to the Rabbeinu Shalom. By this you will come out of this suspicion which you are suspecting yourself, that maybe I'm eating my reward in Olam Hazeh. This is Midrash Tanchume. So we see to which extent HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to push Avraham Avinu to go right, as much as he could. That's a different way how to understand the Asor Nisyonos. That the last Nisyon of the Akedah was to convince and to prove to Avraham Avinu that he shouldn't be afraid that his eating is Olam Haba in Olam Hazeh. So one has to be able to bring a korban. One has to be able to be very strong right till the end, to show that Rebbeinu Shalom, yes, I am completely dedicated to you. How do you show that? By Mesiras Nefesh. So from the beginning till the end, Avraham Avinu had a continuous life of Mesiras Nefesh. Mogen Avraham. So that's what we have to learn from him. There is another explanation which we could say. Why do we finish with Avraham Avinu and not with the others? We know the midah of Avraham Avinu was chesed. Titen emes leYaakov chesed l'Avraham. Amud chesed. Avraham Avinu, his main midah was chesed. Yitzchak was yiro, fear of Hashem. Yaakov was shleimus, emes. But Avraham was chesed. Now, why was Avraham chesed? Avraham, the beginner, the first founder of the Klal Yisrael, the first of the Sholosh Esovos, was chesed. Why? Why do you start with chesed first? Why can't you start with yireh? Why can't you start with yireh? Why can't you start with emes? Why do you have to start with chesed? There is a medrash, Torah Tchiloso Chesed. The Torah starts with the story of chesed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam Arishon, and he was single. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that it was not good for man to be alone, and he created a wife. That was the first story of the Torah. It's chesed. Torah starts with chesed. And then the Torah finishes with chesed. Vayikbar oso bagai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu buried Moshe Rabbeinu in the valley, Mul Beis Peor. It's chesed shel emes. And the middle of the Torah, Vayero Hashem Elov, Ve'elo nemamre, levaker es hachoyle, bikor choyle. That's also a story of chesed. The Midrash Tanchuma. And we explained what did he mean, the middle, it's not the middle. Vayero is the next parsha, it's right in the beginning of Bereshis. We explained the middle of the Torah means the central point of the Torah. So the beginning is chesed, the end is chesed, and the middle, the central point of the Torah is chesed. Why is chesed so important? Now you see, we speak always about Gemilos Chasodim, Gemachim, but we do not realize to the full extent what is chesed, why is chesed, what does chesed mean exactly. Chesed is a beginning. It's a way how to come to Avodas Hashem, to discover the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. You discover the Rebbeinu Shel Olam through chesed. How? Like the Midrash says, the beginning of Lech Lecha, moshel to a voyager, to a traveler that came upon a palace, and he saw that palace was lit with a fire, and it was warm, it was lit, there were candles burning, there was food inside the palace and everything. And he was tired, and the beds were made. And he wanted to thank the owner of the palace, but it was not in sight. And he was looking around, where's the owner of the palace? He wants to thank the owner of the palace. And when the owner of the palace, he was hiding himself in one of the upstairs rooms. He saw that this traveler was so keen and was so anxious. He was searching so much to thank him. So he revealed himself to him and said, I am the owner of the palace. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself to Avraham Avinu because he saw that Avraham Avinu was so anxious to know who is the owner of the world. From where that search of the Rebbeinu Shalom comes from. Why all the other people do not search the owner of the palace? Because they're only interested to grab and to go. What does it matter to them whom I have to thank? Well, for what I have to thank, first of all? I need much more. And I've got other worries than to start. If he's not there, never mind. Let me go. I've got my own things to attend to. Kfui teure. Not to thank the Rebbe, not to recognize, not to search the Rebbe Shalom. So the beginning of Emunah, to discover the Rebbe Shalom, that comes from Chesed. That's why the Torah starts with Chesed. Avraham Avinu was Chesed, because if he didn't have that Chesed in him, how could he discover the Rebbe Shalom in the beginning? He wouldn't have discovered him. He would have been like all the others. Oh, the best of the best. Oh, they thank the sun for the light, and the fire for the warmth, and the clouds for the rains. But to search who is the maker of the clouds, who is the maker of the sun, no. If that doesn't interest them, doesn't interest them at all. So you need chesed. That's why you need Avraham Avinu needed chesed in the beginning. And then this chesed has to be developed. This chesed has to reach perfection. Because there is a chesed with a self-interest. I want to thank in order you should give me more. I want to thank in order you should protect me. But then there is chesed shelemes. The Torah ends with chesed shelemes. That's the last story of the Torah. To teach us that the chesed is something which you can perfect more and more and more. No one can say, I am a goymel. I'm perfect in Gemilus Chasodim. You're not. You're not perfect in Gemilus Chasodim, especially in the quality of Gemilus Chesed. The quality of Gemilus Chesed, to do Chesed in a situation where you don't get anything from it. You understand? People say always this expression, give and take. Life is made of give and take. Yeah, but Rav Dessler explains, there are some people that give in order to take. And there are some people that take in order to give. How will you know whether your intention is to take in order to give? That means by you, the giving is the most important thing than the taking. Let's speak in a marriage, for example. That's what we speak always. Give and take. Marriage is give and take. Right, give and take. How much give and how much take? So Abdesa explains in Kul Chesed Chesed, you have to take in order to give. That means you cannot give without taking, so you must take in order to give. But your main point, your main goal is to give. How will you know that? How will you know in yourself that your main ambition is to give, not to take? How will you know in yourself? The answer is Poshut. What do you worry about? Do you worry about taking or do you worry about giving? What do you worry about? Where is your worries? What are you worrying about? Am I taking enough? Am I taking enough or am I not taking enough? Am I being paid enough or not being paid enough? Or are you worrying, am I giving enough or am I not giving enough? And how to ameliorate? What are you trying? What is your main drive to ameliorate, to better what? To better your takings or to better your givings? You see? We should concentrate in our worries, in our anxiety. We should have the anxiety about giving. Am I giving enough? Am I giving enough? Am I yoitze of my giving? Maybe I can improve my giving. Not improve my being paid for my giving, but can I improve my giving? That's chesed. Avram Avinu, the Achnus Sokim of Avram Avinu, to shechten 3 oxen, just such a generosity. Did he count the money for him? For him, the money was only a mean how to give. He was very rich, Avram Avinu. But why did he need that money? Not because he wanted to make a big knipple, big to become a millionaire, but he wanted to have money in order to be able to do chesed. But his main purpose was chesed. So maybe that's the pshat in what we say in the Shemoneh Esrei. B'chol choismim, you are the symbol of chesed. Do not think that chesed is only a beginning for the Shleishes Sovos. You're only the starter with chesed, as we said, because in order to start Avodas Hashem, to recognize the Rebbeinu Shel Olam, and not just to recognize Him, but to be thankful to Him. As the Chovos HaLevavos says in Shar Avodas HaElokim, the whole Avodas Hashem is built on Akoras HaToiv. And not only the Chovos HaLevavos says that, but Mishnas Shorim says, Zrizus, for example, he says, Zrizus, to be quick in doing a mitzvah. What can be the motivation to be quick in doing a mitzvah? Akoras HaToiv. To recognize the toivos which we received from the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. It's a special study. We have to study the Akoras HaToiv which we owe to the Rebbeinu Shel Olam, and he goes along that to describe that there is nobody in the world, whether he is rich, whether he is poor, whether he is gesund or nicht gesund, doesn't make any difference. There is nobody who can say, I do not receive any toive from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We all receive toives from the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. Only we do not recognize them. They are not living in us. We are not under the argosh, under the feeling, oh, you gewalt, I have to say thank you to the Rebbeinu. How can I say thank you? So I must run quick to do the mitzvahs of the Rebbeinu. At least, I cannot pay him back. How can I pay back to the Rebbeinu Shel Olam for the toivos he did to me? I cannot. So if I cannot pay him back, at least let me be quick in doing his mitzvah. So Avodas Hashem and Zrizus and all the intensity and all the geschmack and all the drive in Avodas Hashem is built on Akoras HaToiv and Chesed. And that's why Torah is Chesed. Torah's Chesed, it's called. Not just Ben Odom Lachaveiroi. Not just V'yoafto l'reacha komoicha, ze klal gadol b'Torah, says Rabbi Akiva, because it includes the majority of the mitzvahs of the Torah. But V'yoafto l'reacha komoicha, Chesed Akoras HaToiv, that goes together. That includes also the Ben Odom Lamokrim, because to daven properly, to keep Shabbos properly, and all the mitzvahs sheben Odom Lamokrim, those are also built. They're also yonik. They take their unique, their values from Akoras HaToiv. Maybe you will say, but what does it lead to? Perfection. Which is a perfection? Maybe perfection is Dveikus B'Hashem. Perfection is something which has nothing to do with Chesed. No. Chazal come and say, B'chol choismim. We end up the broche mogen Avrom. B'chol choismim v'lo b'chulam. We end up the broche with mogen Avrom to teach us that the goal of all the Torah, the end of the Torah, is Chesed Shel Emes. Dveikus B'Hashem. What is Dveikus B'Hashem? What is the reward of Olam Habo? Neheni miziv Hashchina. What is it exactly? Is Chesed. To recognize the greatest Chesed from the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. That's how Rav Dessler explains what is the schar of Olam Habo to the tzaddikim What is the reward of Olam Haba? Is to recognize the Chesed Hashem. To recognize the Chesed Hashem, that is the biggest joy which a person can reach in his life for eternity. That is the purpose of it all.